Hi, welcome to 10 at 10. This is a show where we try to go through 10 education technology topics in 10 minutes. Now, if you're a regular viewer of 10 and 10, you've noticed that we've talked a lot about blogging, and there's a reason for that. The reason is that in the 21st century classroom, teachers need to be sharing, and one way to do that is by blogging. But there's other reasons to have a blog as well. And so today, we're going to talk about 10 reasons to have a blog. And so this presentation was actually inspired by Pernell Ripp from her website, pernellripp.com. That's a really good blog, and that's one of the reasons that we use blogs, is that we use them to get ideas from other people, and because more heads are better than one. And so I want to thank Pernell Ripp for being the inspiration for this 10 in 10 episode. All right, so really, as a classroom teacher, you're going to have two different kinds of blogs. You can have a classroom blog where you actually are talking about things that you do in the class and use it for the students. And then you also have a professional blog where you're talking about being an educator and you're talking about trends in education and things like that. So we're going to talk about things that you can do with both kinds of blogs. And you can actually mix and match them as well. So let's go ahead and look at the first one. One of the really great reasons for having a class blog is so that parents will know what's going on. I know that you say to yourself, well, parents should know what's going on, but sometimes parents don't know where to look. And so if you have a class blog, parents can actually go up there, see what conversation you're having with your students. You can see what conversation the students are having back to the teacher, and they can actually be aware of things that are not only going on in your classroom, but also what's going on in the school as well. So parents know what's going on. That's a really great reason to have a class blog. The next one is, we're going back to the parents again, is parents can find information quickly. One of the things that's very difficult for parents to do is to find out what's going on the campus, especially if the website at the campus is not being kept up to date. If your blog is kept up to date for what's happening on the campus, what's happening in the classroom, parents can just start going to your blog as a resource for what's not only happening in your classroom, but what's also happening in the grade level, what's also happening in the school as well. And so parents can start going just to your blog or some specific blogs to get information, and they keep coming back to that. That's a quick way to get information. They don't have to tag through a whole bunch of different websites. Another really good resource here for using a class blog is that parents will know events that are coming up. I don't know about you, but as a parent, nothing is more irritating than having my child come to me and say, tomorrow we have to do some big long project, or tomorrow is this thing we have to go to, or this afternoon you're supposed to go do this or that. And so, man, it's just so irritating. A classroom blog, if you are putting that information out there for parents already, they can see way ahead of time the events that are coming up at the school. That's powerful, and it'll make you look good as a teacher that you're communicating that information to the parents way ahead of time. Another really good reason to have a class blog is that parents can ask questions. Instead of having to set up a whole parent-teacher conference, coming in, they have to take off work, they have to come in, they can actually ask you questions online on your blog, and you can answer them back. If it's a general question, you can answer back for the whole group. If it's a specific question that has to do with a specific student, you can answer them back in email. But it's a great place for parents to ask questions, especially generalized questions about what's happening in your classroom. Questions about specific students and about their specific activities and how they're doing in class, those need to be saved for parent-teacher conferences, things like that. But general information, parents can ask questions about, hey, when's that big assignment due, or do we need to bring anything for Christmas, or things like that. Those are the kinds of questions that you can ask in the class blog, answer in the class blog as well. Once you start using your blog as a place where parents can hang out, parents start using that blog as kind of a community to be in. They start congregating. It's not just one parent, it's every parent that you've got. So if you've got a classroom of 24 kids, you've got 24 parents that are coming in and getting information, sharing information, and that becomes kind of this community center. Your blog becomes a community center. That's a great thing. It's a very powerful thing. You may say to yourself, well, yeah, but my parents can come in anytime and talk to me. Well, Yes, they can, and we encourage that. But also they can come in at any time at 10 o'clock at night and start having a conversation as well and leaving conversations with each other. And as the blogger, you being the blogger, you have control over the conversation as well. So if you see if people are leaving inappropriate comments, you can delete those out as well. Okay. Another really nice thing about not only events, but you can also put up your class assignments on a class blog. And this way, parents can have an idea of what their students are supposed to be doing. I don't know about you, but I had a lot of times when my children would come in and say, we have no homework. And so you kind of have to take their word for it unless you're getting a note every day from the teacher saying they don't have homework. But if you have a class blog that actually posts what the homework assignment was for that day, what we're doing in class, they can actually go to that and say, hey, did you complete this assignment that Mrs. Smith, Mrs. Jones gave to you? They will have to be a little more accountable for what they're doing. So parents can actually see that class assignment. Now, we're switching over from a class assignment to a professional blog. A professional blog is more about your views on education and how you view yourself as a professional. So if you're using it as a professional blog where you're writing opinions about things, parents can see your value as an educator, your values as an educator, not your value as an educator, your values. What's important to you? What kind of assignments do you assign? And why do you assign them? Those are kind of information that you could post about on your professional blog, not your classroom blog, but your professional blog. Parents can get to know you as a person. You know, sometimes even with parent-teacher conferences, parents don't see us as neighbors. They don't see us as community members. They just see us as the teacher or the educator off to the side. But if you're blogging about your values, you're blogging about what you think is important, they start to see you as a community member. They start to see you as a real human being. You know, I remember being as a kid, I remember being stunned when I actually saw a teacher at the supermarket the first time. It was just stunning to me that a teacher would actually go out and have to feed themselves. And that's what we need. We need to make sure that our community understands that we're people, and here's why we do things, and this is using your blog is a great place to do that. Parents can see how you feel towards their children. You know, sometimes we don't have that. We have that disconnect between the classroom, and they don't understand why we do things. Why were we disciplined that way? Why did my student have to stay after school? What are some things like that? So if you explain what your values are, what your rules are, not just putting your rules, but explain why you do those rules, I think parents can actually see how you value their children. And that's an important thing to get across. If you use your blog as a reflection place where you read a book, for instance, on education, and then you reflect about that book, or you go to professional development and you reflect on your professional development, what did you learn when you went to that professional development, parents start to see you, or your community starts to see you, as a lifelong learner. You know, a lot of times we hear the complaint, yeah, my teacher wasn't there, she was at some in-service, and that's all we ever heard about it. But if you, in your blog, talk about that in-service that you went to, and talk about how that in-service will be used with your children, what you learned of that in-service, how it's going to be used in the classroom, they're going to start seeing you as a lifelong learner. And that's a very important thing to show to our parents, that we're learners as well as their children. So let's talk about those 10 things that you can use a blog for. You can know what's going on. You can find information quickly. You can see what's coming up. You can ask questions. You can create a community. Those are for classroom blogs. And again, that other one is see your assignments ahead of time. Now for professional blogs, they can see your value as an educator, or your values as an educator. They can know the teacher as a person. They get to know you as a person. They see how you feel toward your children, how their children, and they can see you as a lifelong learner. I really like that one about the lifelong learner. I think that's a very important thing. So thanks again for joining us. This has been 10 Reasons to Have a Blog in 10 in 10, and we made it this time. Thanks. See you next time.